Hey y'all, good afternoon. Um, whew, so much. I have so much I want to say, like so much I want to share. I'm feeling just so much of what the collective is experiencing right now, and yeah, I feel like I have no idea where I even want to start. And so that kind of feels like the thing, right? It's like this desire to do things in a new way or to create some change or experience life differently, whether that's to lose weight or to reconnect with your partner or to find more peace and patience in your parenting. Whether it's feeling like you have the reins in your life, like whatever the change is that you're seeing, and we're seeing it so clearly right now. That's what's so good about Virgo energy, is that it's so clear what needs to happen or change, right? Like what we need to do to redirect and get back on course, like what actually needs to shift. But as far as like the actual steps to get there is where we can get really fucking lost, even with like all this earthy Virgo goodness, because we're so used to looking outside of ourselves for that. We're so used to the answers having to be chased or found or, sought after, wrangled in, pieced together. Like we have to get all the pieces of the puzzle together and find like the perfect arrangement of answers or solutions or steps that makes perfect sense, right? We're so used to it being hard and so used to it being such an external process that, of course, as soon as we realize, like, okay, my lifestyle choices around food and movement have not been serving me, like, and it's time for a change, let me go figure out what to do, right? It's like that first part is so clear, or this relationship isn't serving me, it's time for me to step away from it. How do I do it? How do I have the conversation? What do I like? That's where it gets tangled, right? And we feel that clarity of, it's time for me to start making more money. How do I do that? Is it okay for me to make more money? Can you see that? Like, I'm going to invite you to try on those little truths that have been coming forward to you. Those little bits of Virgo ground, that earth that's shown up for you probably in like the past week, but has been brewing all summer long. And yeah, just feel the safety of that sentence or that desire or that knowing. This thing doesn't work for me. This thing needs to go. It's time to shed this relationship, this habit, this pattern, this way of being, or it's time to step into this new experience of myself. Just feel that truth in your body and then notice how it is like immediately blanketed or tied up or hushed by the logical mind that is so sweetly and innocently trying to find the answer for you. That is like working really, really hard to lay the groundwork and set out the path. I'll just invite you to be with that. And sometimes just naming that brings like this world of relief of like, okay, yes, there's the truth, followed by the fear and the striving and the other stuff, right? Okay. And suddenly it's like, I don't need to be going down the path my mind is sending me. I don't need to be asking all these questions and putting all these mental pieces together and leaving myself with my mind. And then it's so funny because then I hear the mind, okay, so what do I do instead, right? If I don't do that, what do I do? And yeah, you breathe. You take a few deep breaths. You close your eyes. You notice what you smell in the room with you. You notice how the air feels on your skin. You notice what's happening in your body. What do you hear? And you take in as many molecules of air and light and support as you can into your lungs. You just breathe it in, drinking it in, and hold it in your body. Soften your edges a little, and then exhale, let it all go. Inhale, filling up. Pause, hold it there, but soften all around it, and then exhale, letting it all go. Yeah, you just be here with it. It's okay that you desire this new thing and you have all this energy and momentum and motivation to start creating the change, and that you feel mentally unsure of where to go or unclear or how to get there. That's fine. It's okay to feel that way. And it's so funny because I had so much to say, I probably still do, and so much to like hold space for, and it feels like really important to just give you this time to land in that safety of like, it's safe for your mind to be going 1,000,000 miles an hour. It is safe for you to be feeling anxious and stressed. It's normal. It's understandable. Like, the world is set up to make you feel that way. So you're not wrong or bad or not doing things good enough because you're feeling this very human experience. It just means you are having a human experience. Which, would you go and judge yourself for that, for being a human? So I invite you to just sort of surrender the judgment. You know, lay down your sword. The sword you've been using against yourself to slice up your own self with criticism and judgment. The swords that you've been using externally, trying to make life do a certain thing or behave a certain way, trying to make other people do a certain thing or behave a certain way. The swords you've been using to fight against the brick walls that you run into that are actually here to redirect you or to give you space to pause and strengthen yourself and find peace in yourself or whatever, you know, or send you, like, they're really, you're just meant to bounce off of them and like, oh, oops, and go, you know, maybe slightly to the left. Maybe you just make a minor adjustment. Maybe it's a total course correction. Like, there is no one size fits all for like what happens when we hit these roadblocks. Which is the good thing about having one-on-one support, because I have my eyes on the group, right? Like, I'm feeling the group, and there's so many different reasons that each of you is hitting whatever roadblock you're experiencing or having the lack of clarity that you're experiencing, or the anxiety or the fear. And yeah, I'm really present to like the part of you that is really wanting to be seen individually, right? That's like, fuck. I wish she could just see inside of me and tell me what to do, right? I used to feel like that all the time. My sister and I used to actually sit and have coffee. My older sister, when I was in college, I'd go sit at her house all the time and we'd drink coffee and talk about like the mysteries, right, of what we were experiencing and why we were experiencing them and how hard things were and like things that didn't make sense. And like one thing for me was like this hormone imbalance. And I was just so fed up and frustrated because there's so much information, you know, oh, well, try eating this way or try taking these herbs or do this thing or do that. And it's like, yeah, all of it works for somebody, right? Not one of those things works for everybody. And, you know, my doctors, like, they didn't really know me. They weren't able to fully, like, look inside and see, like, yeah, they could tell me what my hormone levels were at. They could tell me I was basically perimenopausal at 24, 23, like, experiencing premenopause symptoms. They could tell me that. But they couldn't really tell me, you know, this herb will work for you, or this practice will work for you, or this balancing thing will work for you. And I just remember feeling so frustrated and unseen and like just that deep desire, like, why don't we have it like it used to be, where like, you know, you can sit in the room with like a wise woman and she can see you and, you know, offer you what would work for you. And it's so I actually like giggled to myself earlier when that felt sense memory of being in that place came flooding back. I was on my yoga mat and I just had this, it hit me. I just remembered being in that place of like, oh my God, I wish someone could just see me. Tell me what to do, like help. And it's so clear what I was desiring was me, because I am that person. I'm a seer. I've been studying a bit of human design, and I'm a projector, for anyone who's familiar with the types. If not, there's like 5 different energy types, and I think like 20% of the population is projectors, and we are here to see people and to see them so clearly and with so much love and understanding, and to be able to say like, I totally understand why you're hung up where you are. I see exactly what's happening with you, and I see your potential. I see what's true and real for you, and this isn't it. I see the stories that are in between you and where you want to be. I see the patterns and the habits, or the untruths, right, that have you circling outside of yourself. And I actually can see your way back into your body. I can see the way back into yourself. I can see your way into a life that you love, that feels good and safe and inspiring and supportive, and, you know, just everything that you want. And I'm just starting to sort of own that more fully, that that's who I am. And of course, what a perfect reflection. The thing I was desiring my whole life, the thing that I thought was outside of me, that I thought could fix me, that I thought would be another person. You know, I thought it'd be the right doctor, or the right hormone expert, or the right relationship, or my partner showing up right and doing things for me finally, right? And turns out it was me. Surprise! I wanted me, and I had no idea. And if someone had told me, actually, like, you can do that, I'd be like, no, I can't, because I'm having so much trouble. Obviously, that's not me. I have no idea what's happening in my life. I just knew I was stressed, that it wasn't working, and that I had no idea how to get out, and that I didn't necessarily want out. I just wanted peace in it, you know? I wanted a different experience in it, and I had no idea how to create it. And I was surrounded by so much input, so much information, so many different paths and possibilities, and I couldn't pick one, or I would try one and then it wouldn't work. And it, you know, it's the whole game. It's the whole thing we all experience. I don't even need to explain it, because you know what I'm talking about. And then, you know, I've reconnected with myself, and I've been rediscovering my gifts, like my ancient gifts, like the gifts I've been using in my almost 500 lifetimes as a healer. When I found that out, I was like, okay. I was doing some past life work with someone locally who's amazing, Jeannie Plaisance, if anyone feels like a spark about needing to clear some past life stuff. She's amazing. But so I was seeing her for my ex-husband, and I was like, we just can't find a way to be together, and we can't find a way to be apart. Help. And I want to know how to do my work in this world, you know, in a way that feels good. And what came forward was my ex and I have been doing this game, we've been doing this pattern, this thing for 11 years, 11 lifetimes, I mean. And I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. We've done this a lot. Like, I get it now why it feels like we've been doing the same thing forever, because we have. And then when she looked at my past lives as a healer, what came forward was that I've been a healer in 487 other lifetimes. And I was just like, we were both like, holy shit. Like, okay, so I can totally stop trying to do things the hard way, right? Like, stop trying to do everything other than what comes really easily to me, which is seeing people and being able to hold space for them to explore and see themselves and learn about themselves. And my work gets really individual, and I've been trying to find a way to talk about it that fits what everyone needs, and to make it mass appealing, I guess. And That's just not what comes naturally to me. And so when I realized I have actually been doing this work forever, that I can let go of all that stress and pressure to find the exact perfect way, or to start trusting myself, essentially, to start trusting what I feel and what I sense, what comes forward, the visions and the knowings that I have around people. And I started listening to that more in my relationships, in my daily life, in my routine. And what has become really clear is that I have a very clear read in my body when something is true, when something is not true, when something's off, when something's out of alignment, when something's needing my attention. My body lets me know very clearly. And so I've just been using that more and more and letting it be my guide. And it's been really scary because I've had to let go of a lot of the mental safety, the external safety of doing things a certain way or having a plan. But what it's really done is created this anchor in me that I feel so safe and so secure and more deeply connected to myself and the people in my life that are staying, the people that I'm allowing in, the people that are coming in, that want to be here, and that I want them here. I've never felt so solid in myself before, and it's because I was willing to start trusting what I feel and to stop doing things the way that my mind told me I should. And so, yeah, your path will look different, It's not necessarily going to be the same process for you, but you have to be willing to do things in a different way, to stop doing the thing that your mind is telling you to do, to take your hands off of it and pause and get really quiet and really curious and really vulnerable and open and listen to what your soul has to say. And we can't do that until we reconnect the soul and the body. That's great advice. Like, all of this spiritual advice is really good advice. The problem is we are physically incapable of doing it when we are in a heightened nervous system response state of fear or anxiety, which most of us are all the time. We can't hear our inner guidance if our soul is spinning outside of our body. Because most of us have decided to leave our bodies, at least partially, because we realized it wasn't safe to be ourselves at some point in time. And so we're constantly protecting with our mind and staying and getting further and further away from our hearts, from our center, from what's true, while we're on this hunt for what's true, right? We're like searching for something to make us feel good, when it's like we can't feel good until we're in our body. And we're getting further and further outside of our bodies trying to feel good. We have the 4th cup of coffee because we want to feel good. We text the person we know we shouldn't text because we want to feel good. We eat the pie or the cookies or whatever because we want to feel good. We actually pick the fight with our partner because we just want to feel good, right? We just want to feel good, and we will do whatever it takes. We're also desperate for it, and also so afraid of it. And the pathway to feeling good is not outside of you. It doesn't lead you out from your mind out to the thing, whatever the thing is that we think the thing is. It's a pathway that leads in and down and deeply connects you to the roots of the earth, the roots of what's real and what's true. And it creates safety for the heart, for the womb, so that you can open and you can start to feel and experience compassion and love and pleasure. And you can start to open up in a more innocent way. Your naive self has some safety to start to roam and not have to be in protection all the time, not have to be navigating and tracking and planning and thinking and striving and doing so that she can fit in and be good enough and be loved and be safe. Right? You see how that rat race ends with wanting to be loved and safe. Well, once you drop into the body, you have it already. That's your natural state of being. And so then you don't need the mental race and the games, right, anymore, because you have access to the thing that you're desiring. You have access to feel the things you're trying so hard to feel. And oh my God, so much energy is moving. My face is so red. My body is on fire right now. And so yeah, I'll just invite you to pause with me here for a moment. Yeah, and bringing it back to, you know, we can't feel good if we don't feel safe. And we can't feel safety in the heart until we learn to feel our fear and our shame and our vulnerability. It's kind of a mind fuck in a way, right? You can't feel good until you feel safe, and you can't feel safe until you feel your shittiness, right? Until you feel not good. And you need support to do that. I'm just gonna say it, you know? Like, part of me wants to be like, you can try to do it on your own. No, you have to have support. You have to have someone holding the edges for you. Someone who can bring you back when you start to get lost in your stories. Someone who can hold the light, who can invite you to a different experience, who can guide you back to yourself. You know, I'm not ever going to tell anyone how they should do life or what exactly they should do, but I am full of great questions and great edges and buffers to bump you back to yourself, to bring you back to you and what's true for you. I don't do the work for you. You know, space holders aren't going to do the work for you. We can't, even if we wanted to. And I'm at a place now where I realize, like, yeah, not only can I not do it, I don't want to do it, because doing the work is what creates that sense of pride in yourself and holy shit, look what I've done with myself in my life, right? But I can offer you tools. I can teach you ways of coming home, and like, it's totally up to you if you take them, right? You know, you can sign up for all my classes, you could do all like sessions with me, and at the end of the day, like, it's up to you if you want to do it. Yeah, and like, we're so used to thinking the key is so far outside of us that, like, that reminder that the key is actually in your hand can feel a little uncomfortable. We can feel a little silly or a little ashamed or a little evasive. Like, we don't want to be holding the key, really, because it's a lot of work. I will say that. It's a lot of work. Living consciously is not the easy path. It is much easier. It would have been so much easier to have never, ever opened up my intuition or cultivated a sense of self-worth, or tuned into my heart's desires, like my bone deep desires. Holy shit, life would have been a lot easier if I had stayed asleep, but it would have been perpetual misery, a continuation of the perpetual misery that I was already in. And yeah, no thanks. I'll do the work. I'll do the work if it means feeling fulfilled and satisfied and safe and blissful most of the time. You know, it's not all the time. We're not always in bliss. And sometimes it's blissful to be in a heap on my floor crying with my forehead on the ground. You know, that feels good when it's true and real and when it's doing something for me, to me, through me, you know. And I'm so grateful for the massive amount of support I've invested in. I've spent years of working with healers pretty much constantly, with maybe like a month or two in between here and there as I transition or integrate. But yeah, I am constantly getting the help that I need. And what's really amazing is like you have someone to hold the edges for you, right? To hold you as you feel all of the shit we're so afraid to feel, right? As you confront your own reflection, as you confront your own, not just your own pain, but also your own enoughness. I find that's even scarier. It's even scarier to look in the mirror and see the parts of you that are fucking perfect. We are much more afraid of that than we are of looking in the mirror and seeing our shame, because we're so used to doing that. Right? And we're not really afraid of being rejected because we rehearse rejection on a daily basis. We know what we'll do if people don't like us, or, you know, we're prepared for rejection and pain and struggle. We're not prepared for being witnessed and loved, being really seen and celebrated and received and like named as good enough. That's terrifying. But when you have someone holding space and helping you navigate all of that, and like a way shower, you start to learn how to do those things for yourself. And so, yes, I've been working with healers, but in the process, I've been growing up my own self-healer, learning how to be my own space holder. And so that most of the time I can hold my own edges. Most of the time I can hold myself, I can celebrate with myself, I can be in pleasure with myself, I can be in grief or fear with myself. I know how to be a truly amazing partner to myself. And at the same time, it's not enough. We need other people triggering us, doing things that we think are to us or to hurt us or whatever, to betray us, or really essentially what they're doing is triggering a wound that we then get to get curious about and explore and have more healing. But also we need like strong women, supportive sisters, and that is something that is so missing from so many women's lives. I still will text, you know, my healer friends and be like, can you hold some space for me while I figure this thing out? Or I would really love to be witnessed in this, or I could use some reflection. Or sometimes it's just like, fucking help, you know? And I'm just like, I need someone to hold me, or just help, you know? And they'll do the same. And it's like, we can't always be holding our own edges. We can't always be our own partner, our own everything. You know, like, yes, it's so important that we learn how to do that. That self-reliance becomes a tool in our tool belt. It is good to know how to self-soothe, how to love yourself, how to be with yourself. But it cannot replace being with others, being loved by others, being held by others, being witnessed and seen by others. And we don't have to hold our own edges all the time. Like, we don't have to be alone. You know, like, yeah, we can do this alone. We can learn how to do that. But do we want to be? Do we have to be? No. You can be doing this work alongside other people. You can be experiencing joy and pleasure with other people. Not just your sisters or your healer friends, right? Like with your partner or your family or your friends. Not everyone has to be having these kinds of conversations with you to be contributing to your life and to be supporting you in it. That feels important for some of you to know, I guess. So yeah, we'll pause again. And yeah, I feel like now it's time for me to invite you to join me for Awaken to Love. For a container where I will hold the edges and I will offer you tools and journal prompts and online classes and meditations, and I will be there tending the edges while you move through it. And I'll also be working with you one-on-one, and I will be there in the group, and you'll have 6 other women in the group with you, witnessing you, celebrating with you, holding you. This is a 6-week course where we will have 6 weekly lessons. So every week you'll get an email with like your classwork, right? And so I would suggest that you have about an hour a week to put towards your classwork, and then at least like 15 minutes a day for meditation or checking in. And then also, you know, being emotionally available to implement the work in your day-to-day life. So it's not just like doing an hour of work a week and bam, your heart is open and your life and relationships are different. I mean, yeah, I guess you could still have that experience, but this is for the women who are really ready, like really ready to be doing the work, ready to be held and witnessed and be seen, not just in the group but one-on-one. You know, we'll have 4 group calls where you get one-on-one support on the group call, where like the other women on the call are just witnessing while I hold space for you and your process, and I see you and support you and guide you personally as you navigate what will inevitably come forward as you move through the actual practical, logical information of what even is energy, how does it work in your life, how does it affect your relationships, how do we set boundaries, healthy boundaries, how is it that boundaries are the most loving thing we can do and not selfish, right? You know, like we just really learn a lot about energetic boundaries in relationships, which can bring up a whole world of stuff, but also be so healing when we start to embody that and start to understand that and learn how to hold space for yourself. What else do we learn about? We learn about tuning into your desire, honoring your needs, you know, what it is that you need in your life, what it is that you want. And those are scary questions at the beginning of this journey, I know. Like, those questions put me in tears. I couldn't answer them for weeks when I was in counseling and was asked these questions. But, you know, I will be there to guide you and help you and hold your hand and support you as you become someone who can answer that question. You'll also learn to tap into your intuition, right? So that that answer can come from inside of you rather than from, you know, some external source like we were talking about earlier. And yeah, I created Awaken to Love about a year into my separation because I wanted to share the heart opening magic I experienced after my separation, of learning forgiveness and compassion and how to be open-hearted in my relationship, even when it was scary and painful, and even when I wanted to do the typical divorce thing, right, of blaming the other person and getting lost in the drama. Like, that was the easier thing, to stay in the place where it was blame and shame and drama and poor me, I'm a victim, and you know, you never did this and that and blah blah blah. And it was just like, it could have stayed ugly much longer than it was. It was only ugly for a brief period of time because, thank the dear Lord, I was invested in support already. I had just signed up for Reiki. I had just gotten my Reiki attunement with my teacher and had signed up for some one-on-one time with her. And then my husband left. And it was like, thank God I put myself in this container. Thank God I followed this nudge and created this safe space for myself so that I would have support going through this. And there were times where I wanted to just punch her in the face because she held my edges. She didn't really entertain my drama or my blaming and shaming, and she kept inviting me back into my heart, and she kept inviting me back into compassion. And it was the first time I've ever had someone not allow me to get lost in my drama stories. And I'm so grateful for it, because once I was able, every time I'd bump off of that wall, you know, of wanting to go down the old path of doing things the way I knew how to do them, I got to get this moment of like truth and peace and wisdom from inside that I had never experienced before. And I could see very quickly that everything I'd been trying to get outside of me actually was in here, and that the work was going to be dropping in and getting to know myself and to do more of that, you know, more of this self-questioning, this self-exploration, more coming home, more awakening. And I named it. So what I did was I kind of took my process that helped me forgive and crack open in my divorce and created like a flow from it. And so I guide you through my process, which actually is like, has been really supportive for a lot of people in healing their relationships, helping them to get off of antidepressants, helping women to lose weight, start businesses. Like, so much magic has happened for the women in this course. And so especially, like, I have my first 4 women who went through it that I still feel so deeply connected to, because we had one-on-one time together. And so that's why I'm bringing the one-on-one back, because I really desire that. I desire that level of transformation for women. And so that's also why I'm not opening it for free to women who have signed up for it in the past again, like I usually do, because this container, this specific round is deeply personal, and it is not the same course. So even if you've done it before, it's not the same experience. It will be deeper and more personalized, and I feel like the level of transformation available is has been expanded. So if we have worked together in the past, this would be a really beautiful opportunity to experience this deeper level of my work, of this place that I've arrived at, and this space that I can hold now. It is vastly different. Not that the space I used to hold was bad. It's just where I was and then, and this is where I'm at now, and it feels deeper and more grounded and even more magical. So if you're a past client, I would love to hold space for you again and invite you into this experience of the work. And if we've never worked together before, this is a really great course for getting to know the work that I talk about. You know, when I talk about doing the work, this is where you learn how to do the work, and it would be a really beautiful place to start. And it can support you for far beyond the 6 weeks that we're together. You know, you'll use these tools forever, and you can come back to them over and over. You'll have the course materials, plus we'll have our one-on-one, and then you'll have the one-on-one support in the group calls as well. So let me see if there's anything else that I want to share. If anyone has any questions, I'm always available to chat if you want to hop on a call. If you feel like you're a yes to working with me, if you like, okay, yes, she can see me, and I desire that, and I'm ready for that, and you're wanting to be seen one-on-one, then I do actually have some one-on-one spots available. I have 3 left open for the fall. So if you want one of those, then reach out and we can talk about the different ways to work one-on-one. I also teach Reiki, so if anyone is interested in learning Reiki, like maybe Awaken to Love doesn't feel like the thing, I don't have a class scheduled, but you know, maybe if there's enough of you who want that, then I could put that together. I feel very flexible and open to whatever it is that you're needing. So if you desire to have some space held, and you desire some change and someone to hold the edges and be the light and guide you, then yeah, I invite you to reach out and let's chat. In the meantime, I'm sending you so much love.